What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Tears Take. I am recapping the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 14, and it's called Chapter 2, Reset. So these housewives love a good reset, and all they do is reset back into their old ways and the old arguments, but we'll play along, right? So overall, this episode was pretty good. I thought there was a lot there. I think the things that stuck out to me is Shamea, girl, you had some moments that I low-key sided with Brit on. We're going to talk about that. But y'all know I can't stand Brit. She had, once again showed her trifling true colors this episode, trying to make Shamea's moment about her. So we'll talk about that. But overall, I think it was a good episode. I think there was a lot there. So let's go ahead and just dive in and get into it. If you like the content, please like and subscribe. Please give me a comment and let me know your thoughts, what you agree with, what you don't, what you noticed. I would love to engage with you and see what other people are thinking about this episode and this season. I do want to acknowledge that since my last recap, there has been a lot of Bravo news. And in relation to RHOA in particular, we now know that Brit skipped the reunion, and we know that she is suing the network. And we know that she is saying that the graphic picture that Kenya showed allegedly is not even her. I have so many thoughts on this. I want to hear your thoughts below on where do you stand in this drama that is all Brit Edie. I thought we were going to be able to get rid of her after the next few weeks of this reunion, but as this lawsuit drags on, I'm sure we will hear more about her. So let me know your thoughts below, but let's get started. I'm excited to dive in. Okay, so the episode starts with just like a montage, checking in with the girls. They are really loud I'm assuming it's early morning, but maybe they slept in and maybe it's just like party vibes when they wake up. But I was like, it seems like they were just waking up and they were so energized. I was like, damn. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. We see a quick clip of Brit calling her husband, and she's like, I didn't bring my diamonds, baby. You told me not to bring my diamonds. I'm just like, again, it just speaks to her trying to portray someone who she's not. So we can move on past that. The girls talk about how Brit threw up the night before because she was just, the alcohol wasn't agreeing with her. So a little bit more on that. Angela calls Charles and she says that she talked to him on their anniversary, but he was too busy cooking for their daughter. And, bro, you could have either multitasked or you could have called her back. There's no excuse as to why the anniversary call was there's no excuse why you guys couldn't have a nice conversation on your anniversary. So once again, Charles, I'm just like, you're not the move. So Kelly comes in, and honestly, we can pretend, don't judge women's bodies. And I don't agree with it, but I can also agree with when my eyes see something, my mind makes a decision or a thought about what I'm seeing, right? And so when Kelly walked in, I was thinking the same thing that Phaedra said. She was basically like, okay, her boobs are so big, she looks like she could tip over. And I was thinking the same thing. So I thought it was funny. So Cynthia asked Brit, was she okay? She heard she got sick. And then in the confessional, Brit was like, I told you guys I don't do shots. Shots are for college girls and we are wives. Well, most of us. And I'm just like, listen, I'm a wife and I don't know. I don't walk around saying that I'm a wife, and I don't say I don't do that because I'm a wife. Shamea comes downstairs. They ask her, they can no longer find her bag. Her bag is completely gone. And the producers ask her her underwear situation, what you doing? And she said, I'm bare naked. I was like, girl, you might as well be an ambassador for Brit, because the way you plug that in and everything, you might as well get a coin for it. So you might as well, the way that Drew was the go naked ambassador, Shamea trying to get that ambassador deal. I see you, Shamea. So So the ladies are preparing to divide up into 2 groups. Shamea, Portia, Phaedra, and Cynthia are going to go to a waterfall. The rest are going to a cooking class. Phaedra tells Kelly that she's loud. No lies detected there. Shamea and Brit have like random tension about why Brit was randomly bringing up Apollo. And Brit's like, I can bring up whatever I want. I can say whatever I want. Drew clocks the tension in her confessional, and she just wonders why no one cares about that, but always trying to figure out what Drew's doing. I said, speak on it, Drew. They want to deflect from whatever they have going on to just focus on Drew and what Drew's doing. So, again, no lies detected. So, in Shamea's van, they talk about how defensive Brit has been and how she barely donated anything. So, on top of the paper towels or toilet paper that she donated, Shamea did talk to her one-on-one and was pretty much like, girl, you serious? Hey, Brit, I thought your husband was going to bring more donations. But anyway, so Shamea pulled Brit aside and was like, girl, you can't be serious. And so on top of the 2 rolls of Charmin, Brit donated $250. So then Phaedra says, no one on this platform should donate under $1,000. And they all pretty much agreed. And then Shamea also said that Kelly agrees with that Brit should have given more. Now, this is an interesting juxtaposition to what I saw in the after show. I don't really watch that after show, but I did see a clip online, and there was a clip where Phaedra and Portia were like, that's so weird that Shamea was telling her what to donate. And And it's like, yeah, you have a point. Because like I said in my other recap, I don't want to judge people on what they can and cannot give. Like, I'm not in their pockets. I'm not in their circumstances. I'm not in their heart. So I agree from that standpoint, but y'all were on Team Shamea in that van. And so just because you're not cool with Shamea anymore, and you're maybe cooler with Brit at the moment, like that doesn't mean you have to like all of a sudden flip your views. Because Portia loves to call Cynthia a flip-flopper, but you literally just flip-flopped. You can say, listen, I'm not even cool with Shamea right now. I agreed with her then. I agree with her now. Or if you did agree with Brit, then you should have said that in the van. But everybody was like gung-ho on Shamea, and now it flipped. So then the van, of course, bring up Drew. I mean, they are all her biggest fans. The way LaToya was Drew's biggest fan in season 13, Drew needs to sign a few more headshots and hand them out this season. She should do that at the reunion. I would love if she does that, because my God, they have nothing else to talk about than this woman. So they start bringing up Drew, and Portia was like, oh, I can't even say anything because we squashed it. We deaded it. But, I think she should apologize to you, Shamea, for calling you a lapdog. And Shamea says that, well, whenever I bring up Drew to other people, they don't even know who she is. I'd rather be a lapdog than forgettable. Womp womp. You can't shade Drew by shading yourself, because you are a lapdog. So it's not even like Drew called you something that didn't make sense. She gave you an accurate read. So you can't combat an accurate read with a subjective read. That doesn't, girl, stop. So that was a womp womp, Shamea. Watching this scene got on my nerves because they all just looked like Portia's little minions, and they know that has this beef with Drew. So let's talk about Drew. Let's shade Drew. And, we're going to be closer to Portia because of it. And honestly, that van should have made me feel, I should have felt nostalgic, and I should have been oh my gosh, our girls, they're not OGs, but they're pretty much OGs. They've been on the show for more than 10 years, or a minimum of 10 years, I should say. And I should have been more excited for that van ride, but I wasn't. Because it was just giving Mean Girl. It was giving follower. I was just Then in the other van, we see that they all pretty much like Phaedra. And then in the confessional, we see that Phaedra is saying she doesn't know Angela, but Charles was the life of the party, and that she never knew him to be married. Girl, what? Timelines not make sense. Like, didn't she say she knew him way back in the day? And I don't even think she knew him like that. She probably just saw him around. I think her exact words were like, we were in the same social circle. Like, you saw him around. We heard in this episode he doesn't really wear a ring. So, like, what are you saying? And the producer asked, like, did he seem like he was married? And like, and Phaedra like didn't give anything. And my thing is like, you clearly don't have anything on them. It would be weird if you try to expose something about them anyway, because you don't even know them. Angela did nothing to you. But like, if you knew something, you would have just said it instead of all these like little innuendos and all these like little breadcrumbs. Like, oh, well, like, I'm not sure. And da-da-da. Like, girl, stop. Like, I hate when Phaedra was on point with a few things in this episode, but when she tries to do like all the shade and all the reading, like, it's just like, calm down. You don't need to do that right now. That's what annoys me about some of these older housewives, not old in age, but just housewives that were on years ago, and then they bring them back and they still operate in the era that they were in. And what was funny 10 years ago, or because Phaedra left season 9. So what was funny 6-7 years ago isn't going to fly now. Like, what was funny 10 years ago gives Mean Girl now. So like, that's some of these housewives that go away and come back and they still operate the way that they were operating back when they were on the show. Yeah, maybe it spiked ratings back then, but now we're like, girl, like, your audience has grown, but you necessarily did not. And I think Phaedra still operates in like season 8 or season 7 when she was more beloved. I don't ever remember her being like a fan favorite, but she was definitely memorable. She definitely had fans. And I think she still operates out of that instead of just coming back as an evolved woman. Like, the shade and like little comments can be funny and, you know, whatever, especially if they're clever. But like, I feel like that's what she leads with. And that is what's off-putting. One of the things, I should say. We check in with the other ladies. They're having a cooking class. They have some cocktails made with an alcohol that was made at a black distillery. I said yes. And they had some nice looking men like helping them cook, some good conversation. So that it looked like a really good time. The other group goes to a beautiful waterfall and they're just like, of course, twerking and doing what they do. But it looked gorgeous. Both groups sit down to eat. Brit says that she feels the reset vibes with Angela and Drew. And I'm like, girl, it didn't take much. Like, y'all didn't have any beef. Like, zip it. Phaedra thinks over on the other side, over in the other group, Phaedra thinks it's weird that Brit was bringing up Apollo. Portia says that Brit doesn't feel heard or supported. And she has said that a few times. And Portia was like, man, she just be whining for no reason. I said, exactly. Portia made the statement that Brit needs to make an effort. And I agree. And I feel like Portia got that same feedback. I think when Nene was trying to tell her, like, you're not a good friend. You don't support me. You don't show up for me. You don't reach out. You know, I think some people just get so caught up in all of their lives and all of their mess that, like, you forget to extend yourself sometimes. And so it was good that Portia pointed that out. So then the minions ask Portia about Black, who Portia claims is dating Drew. And Portia's like, oh, it's not a secret because there are videos and photos of them hanging out. And I'm like, every person that you have a picture with, you're sleeping with? Is that the logic that we're going with? Every person that you're in a 2-minute clip on, and, you know, maybe the camera's panning and maybe you're talking, maybe you're just standing next to the person. Like, unless these videos are of the explicit nature or these photos are of the explicit nature, you don't know what they're doing. And it's so immature to keep trying to push this. And it's actually really rude and inconsiderate, considering that we know Drew's going through a divorce with a crazy person who would do anything to just like ruin her life. Then in the other group, Brit asks about Black, and Drew says we're just friends. When she finds love, she's going to tell everybody from the mountaintops. I said, I know that's right. Portia and Shamea back in the other group are being silly. And Shamea is so hyped in the confessional. I got my best friend. I said, girl, if you like it, I love it. Sure. So then we see Angela calling Charles. He's grumpy and stale as usual. And Angela says, oh, it's because like I wasn't there to have anniversary sex. And I'm just like, really? Because y'all been married 8 years. This isn't like some people online were like, oh, that's so weird that she traveled on their anniversary. I don't think it's that weird because you can celebrate before, you can celebrate when you get back. You can have sex before you leave. You can have sex when you get back. You can go out to dinner before you leave. You can celebrate anytime. It's not about the actual date, especially when you're that many years in. If it's your first, fine. Maybe if it's like a milestone. But if it's your 8th anniversary and you still make it a point to celebrate when you are together, I don't see the problem. I don't know. Let me know below if it's weird that I don't see the problem, or does that make sense that you just celebrate when you see each other, or celebrate both times before you leave when you come back, whatever. So anyway, Angela's making excuses that he didn't get anniversary sex and he's grumpy. I couldn't do him. I would stop calling him. If I was her producer, I'd be like, girl, stop calling him because he's making you look crazy because you got to give me something. You can't give me these little one-word answers, that little withholding energy. I would have been like, all right, have a good day. Bye. No, maybe you need to phone a friend because Charles ain't it. So, the ladies are now, back together, and some of them are just hanging out. And Shamea, they were in the kitchen, and it looks like Shamea's making a drink or making drinks, and she starts being like really passive aggressive, and she's like, let's take shots, but I don't want to force anyone to make a shot. I don't want to force anyone, da da da. Basically, it's because Brit told Shamea earlier that she was just being a little too pushy, and because Shamea was being pushy, like take a shot, do a shot. Brit did them, and then she ended up throwing up and getting sick. And so Brit had told her, like, hey, you're a little too pushy, like whatever. I can see both sides of this. On one side, if I'm telling you to take a shot and you do it, that's still your fault. You can still say no. But on the other hand, it is annoying if you don't want to drink, or if you don't want to drink that much. People constantly like, do it. Oh, you ain't fun in it. So it's like, I can see both sides of it. But at the end of the day, Brit, what you put in your body is up to you. You're 40 years old? So, or almost, you're grown. So at the end of the day, like, you can't blame Shamea on that, but it is within your right to be like, girl, you were getting on my nerves last night. So anyways, so Shamea was being passive aggressive, like, oh, I don't want anyone to think I'm pushy. I don't want to think, and she was saying that within earshot of Brit. Grow up, Shamea. So, in response to that, Brit and her confessional are like, oh, we're classy ladies. Enough with the shots already. Classy? Okay. Your version of class is very interesting, Brit. I didn't know classy women held events and didn't feed their guests. I didn't know classy women barely provided any hurricane relief when they're going to a beautiful country that's hosting them. And I didn't know classy women take off their tops on national TV and shimmy, shake as their friend is dealing with a terrible situation at home. It's interesting, Brit. You're an interesting one. And by interesting, I mean weird. So the whole group goes out to dinner. Kelly says that the home that they visited was affected by the hurricane, and she just thanks them again for the donations. Shamea starts shading Brit by saying, yeah, you can't pull up with Birkins and a Rolls Royce and not donate. And Brit catches the shade, and she says that Shamea is being passive aggressive. And Kelly tries to save Brit, but ultimately agrees with Shamea. And, she was basically like, if you're that girl, be that girl in all aspects of your life. I said, bingo. That's what I was saying last recap. So Brit is getting all types of hype saying Shamea said that Shamea never gave a certain dollar donation to donate. She never gave a minimum or a maximum to donate. So Brit just gave what she wanted to. And Shamea tells her, calm down. And so, this is where I'm at with this. Because Shamea tells us that she had a talk with Brit after she brings like the paper towels or whatever. So like, why bring it up in front of the group? Like, if you already addressed it, she gave some more through the Cash App. Even if you didn't think that was enough, like at that point, it just should have been dropped. Honestly, I wouldn't have been comfortable bringing up the donation to her face in the first place anyway. Like, I, probably would have shaded you, in the confessional, probably would have been in the private group chat like, girl, that's trifling. Heifer showed up in a Birkin, but gave 2 rolls of paper towels. That's more of like a side thing. I would never pull someone aside and be like, hey, I know I never told you an amount, but I'm unhappy with the amount that you donated. I would never do that. So like, I agree where Shamea is coming from. I think she should have given more, but if you did not give any parameters, like that's number one. Number two, you already addressed it to her, so I don't know why you're trying to shame her in front of the group. And then 3, you are being passive aggressive. Like, you are harboring these feelings towards her. So don't sit there and make all these lofty comments and then be mad when Brit defends herself. Now, Brit, you're so intense. Like, I don't know, the way you confront people is off-putting. But back on Shamea, I'm getting back on you because I don't like the way she was handling Brit, because the way she was handling Brit is a lot of ways how Karens handle us, meaning Black women, because she, calm down, you're getting defensive, oh my gosh, you're so angry, like Brit is annoying. She was, it wasn't coming from a place of love, but she wasn't yelling, she wasn't over the top, she wasn't threatening, she wasn't aggressive. And I think when you do those little things, Shamea, you are giving permission to other people to treat us that way. There wasn't a reason to be like, calm down. Like, you started it with your little passive aggressive stuff, so don't be mad with the way that she responds. Oh, I can't believe I just defended Brit. So as like Brit and her are having this back and forth, Brit says, just say what you need to say to my face. Like, does anyone else have anything to say to me? So then Portia says, you've told us how you don't feel supported, you don't feel heard, but you don't extend yourself. You never reach out to us on the side or invite us to places or invite us to things. And so Portia and Brit then go back at it, back and forth a little bit. I think what Portia was saying was valid, but it just goes over her head, and Brit just takes it the wrong way and takes it as like a personal attack. So they're going back and forth. They're not really getting anywhere. But then the prime minister rolls up and everyone's like, all right, like, pause this for now. Like, let's act like we have some sense. And then the prime minister arrives. And they had a good conversation. So then when he leaves, they were all just kind of joking around like, ooh, oh, he's fine, he's single. And someone was like, well, we don't know if he's single because a lot of married men don't wear rings. Here goes Angela. Yeah, Charles doesn't wear his ring. And Portia was like, does this woman have Tourette's? Like, why does she keep volunteering her personal business like this? I thought it was funny. So then Angela says, she's going to talk about it in therapy. The group gets her an anniversary cake and Angela gets emotional. Then Brit starts carrying on again, like telling Portia, we didn't get a chance to finish our conversation. It was a little combative. I was like, girl, chill out. So then on the ride back, Brit said that she was in the hot seat. And this is where I will give Phaedra her point. She was like, girl, that's because you put yourself in the hot seat. And she basically clocks Brit for self-sabotaging and collecting enemies for no reason. And she basically gives her advice to just be friendlier in the group. And I thought that advice and that read on the situation was spot on. So on the way home, Shamea gets a call that her daughter is sick, and the girls comfort her. They all make it back to the villa, and the ladies are just comforting her, saying a prayer for her, and then Brit makes it weird. Weirdos are gonna weird. So basically she, because they had their little tension earlier in the day, she basically, the point of Brit addressing Shamea was supposed to be like, let's put that petty stuff aside. I'm your friend. I love you. And I just want to support you in this really hard time right now. That was the goal. But the way that she went about it, it was so like dramatic, and I will always support you. We are friends. None of this matters. And she's crying, and it was kind of like angry, and it was kind of crying, and then she would bring it back on Shiloh, like, I just want you to be good with your kids. And then it was like, but me and you have issues, but we can put those on pause. We'll put them on the back burner. And this is what it's about. Like, it was this weird back and forth, right? So it's like, it was weird. Like, one minute she's focusing on the baby and like supporting Shamea. And then the next minute she's like focusing on herself and her issues with Shamea. And as she's talking to her, as she's like hugging her and like doing all the things, excuse me, there is this creepy circus music playing in the background. If you did not notice it, go back and watch that scene. It starts playing, and I was like, this is the perfect music for Brit, because she's so unhinged. She's such a weirdo. She's a clown. Perfect. Because it was, and her interaction was just so weird. It was so creepy. It did not feel genuine. She was just trying to make it all about her. So then Brit offers to take some tequila shots, and it was kind of a peace offering. And had she not done all that weird stuff before, it would have been kind of cute. Like, you know what, girl, let's put her stuff on the back burner. Don't worry about that. I'm here for you, girl. Let's do a cheers. That would have been almost cute. But after all of this weird back and forth, now you're like, and I want to do shots. Make mine a double. And after the shot, she pulls out her boob. She's dancing. And I was just like, all right, desperate. That was it. So that was the end of the episode. I thought it was pretty good. I think it's giving us more of a peek into Shamea's passive aggressive side. We're getting more of the ladies, and we're seeing more of how they interact within like their cast dynamic. And so, you know, anytime we get a glimpse and see someone in a different light, I appreciate, even though I didn't like what I saw. Overall, it was a good episode. There was a lot there. And hey, I guess they reset on a few things. So I want to hear from you. Let me know how you felt about this episode. Do you feel like Brit was trying to make that moment about her, or do you think her responses were genuine? Let me know. If you made it this far, give this video a like, and hopefully you will subscribe so you can get more content. We have a lot of great more content coming our way. OC's coming soon. Housewives of Miami is coming really soon. And so stay tuned, because I have a lot of opinions and lots of things to talk about. But I really appreciate you guys. Have a great day. I will see you guys in the next video. Mwah. Bye.